When dogs save their owners from intruders. Part 1. The Silent Guardians. The night was quiet, almost too quiet. Inside a cozy suburban home, Mark Reynolds sat on his couch, scrolling through his phone. His Labrador Rottweiler mix, Duke, lay at his feet, ears twitching slightly as if listening to sounds that only he could hear. Mark didn't think much of it. Duke was always alert. But what Mark didn't know was that tonight would be different. Tonight, Duke would prove why dogs are called man's best friend, and why sometimes they're the only thing standing between their owners and danger. A dog's instinct. Duke had always been a protective dog. Ever since Mark had adopted him from a shelter 3 years ago, Duke had been more than just a pet. He was a guardian, a friend, and a silent protector. Whenever Mark left the house, Duke patrolled the yard. Whenever someone knocked on the door, Duke was the first to investigate. And whenever Mark had a bad day, Duke was there, pressing his head against his owner's hand, as if telling him everything would be okay. But that night, Duke was acting differently. He kept lifting his head, sniffing the air, his body tense. His ears flicked toward the back door, and a deep growl rumbled in his throat. Mark frowned. "What is it, buddy?" Duke's eyes narrowed, staring into the darkness beyond the sliding glass door. Then, his growl deepened, and suddenly, Mark wasn't just a dog owner anymore. He was a target, the shadow outside. At first, Mark didn't see anything. He walked to the sliding door, peering out into the backyard. The motion-activated light had switched on, casting an eerie glow over the wooden fence and the swaying trees. Everything looked normal, but Duke knew better. His growl turned into a bark, a sharp, commanding sound that echoed through the quiet house. Then Mark saw it, a shadow moving near the fence. His heart stopped. Someone was out there, someone who shouldn't be. The break-in begins. Mark grabbed his phone, his fingers shaking as he unlocked it. His first instinct was to call the police, but before he could dial, a loud clatter erupted from the back patio. The lock on the fence gate clicked open. Footsteps. Mark's breathing quickened. Whoever was out there was coming in. Then, a gloved hand appeared on the door handle. The intruder was trying to get inside. And that's when Duke exploded into action. The protector awakens. In an instant, Duke launched himself at the door, his deep, thunderous bark shaking the windows. The intruder froze. For the first time, Mark saw his face, a masked figure, dressed in black, staring back at him through the glass. Duke's snarls filled the room, his body tense, his teeth bared. He wasn't just barking, he was ready to fight. And for the first time, Mark realized he wasn't alone. Duke wasn't just a pet. He was a guardian, and he was willing to put his life on the line to protect his home. The moment of decision. Mark's instincts kicked in. He grabbed the baseball bat by the door, his heart pounding. Duke kept barking, his massive frame pressed against the glass, daring the intruder to come inside. But the man hesitated. He hadn't expected a dog this big, this fierce, this determined. And suddenly, the balance shifted, because Duke wasn't afraid, but the intruder was. And then, he ran. The masked man bolted back over the fence, vanishing into the night. Duke chased to the edge of the yard, barking until the footsteps disappeared completely. Mark exhaled, his hands still trembling. It was over. For now. But as he looked down at Duke, who stood tall, his chest heaving but his eyes sharp, he knew one thing for certain. Tonight, his dog had saved his life. The aftermath. Mark immediately called the police, his voice still shaking as he explained what had happened. When the officers arrived, they checked the yard, confirming the fence had been tampered with and the lock had been picked. It wasn't just a random break-in attempt. It was planned. The police officer looked at Duke, then at Mark. "You're lucky," he said. "If your dog hadn't been here, well, let's just say things could have gone very differently." Mark knelt beside Duke, running a hand through his thick fur. "I know," he murmured. "I know." Duke leaned into him, his tail wagging slightly. Because for Duke, it hadn't been an act of heroism. It was just what dogs do. They protect their own. They stand guard. And when danger comes knocking, they don't run. "What's next?" Mark and Duke's story is just one of many where dogs have saved their owners from danger. But how far can a dog's instinct go? In Part 2, we will explore the science behind a dog's protective instincts, real security footage of dogs stopping intruders, another gripping story of a family dog facing off against an armed burglar. Because sometimes, the difference between safety and tragedy is a loyal dog standing between you and the unknown. Part 2, the guardian instinct. Duke had saved Mark's life. His unwavering loyalty and fearless protection had stopped an intruder in his tracks, forcing him to flee before he could enter the house. But Duke's actions were not just coincidence. Dogs have been protecting humans for thousands of years, and their instincts to guard, detect danger, and even predict threats are deeply embedded in their DNA. Tonight, Mark had seen those instincts firsthand. But why are dogs so good at detecting danger? What makes them such exceptional protectors? And just how far can a dog go when it comes to defending its family? This part of the story dives into the science, real-life cases, and the extraordinary instincts of man's best friend. The science behind a dog's protective instincts. Dogs are more than just pets. They are descendants of wolves, creatures that have thrived through survival, teamwork, and acute awareness of their surroundings. But what makes dogs so uniquely suited to guarding humans? Here are some of the key biological and psychological traits that make dogs natural protectors. 1. Superior senses. A dog's sense of smell is 40 times stronger than a human's. They can detect fear, adrenaline, and even the unique scent of an unfamiliar person from a distance. Duke had smelled the intruder long before Mark had any idea someone was near. Dogs can hear frequencies that humans can't. The subtle sound of footsteps in the grass, the click of a gate unlocking. Dogs pick up on these cues instantly. Keen night vision. Unlike humans, dogs see well in low-light conditions, making them exceptional nighttime protectors. 2. The pack mentality. Dogs see their owners as part of their pack. In nature, wolves protect their pack at all costs. This instinct is still present in modern dogs. They will put themselves in harm's way to defend their family. Bonding creates a heightened sense of responsibility. When a dog is closely bonded with its owner, it will react even more intensely to threats. Duke's years of trust and connection with Mark had made him even more devoted to his protection. 3. Training and reinforcement. Many dogs have natural guard instincts, but proper training enhances their ability to react in a crisis. Some breeds are naturally protective, including German Shepherds used by police and military forces for their intelligence and bravery. Rottweilers strong, loyal, and fearless when facing intruders. Dobermans agile, fast, and known for their intense loyalty. Labrador Retriever mixes surprisingly protective, like Duke, when bonded closely with their owners. Duke may not have been trained as a guard dog, but his loyalty and natural instincts had been enough to stop a crime before it happened. And he wasn't the only one. Security footage that proves dogs save lives. Duke's story is powerful, but real-life security footage has captured similar moments where dogs have stopped break-ins, assaults, and even violent attacks. Here are 2 chilling cases that were caught on camera. 1. The pit bull who saved a family from an armed intruder. In Los Angeles, California, a masked intruder broke into a home while a woman and her 2 children were asleep. As soon as the man entered the house, the family's pit bull, Zeus, charged at him full speed. Security footage showed the intruder stumbling back, startled, before fleeing the home. The police later confirmed the man was armed with a knife. If Zeus hadn't been there, the situation could have been deadly. 2. The Belgian Malinois who took down a home invader. In Florida, a retired police officer's home was broken into while he was away. His Belgian Malinois, Rex, was home alone, but the dog was highly trained. The intruder tried to climb through the window, but Rex immediately latched onto his arm, dragging him back out. Security footage showed the man screaming and running away, later found with bite wounds when arrested. Dogs like Zeus and Rex weren't just reacting. They were making split-second life-or-death decisions, just like Duke had, and their instincts had saved lives. Part 3. The night of the home invasion. Mark had narrowly escaped a break-in, thanks to Duke's incredible instincts and fearless protection. But not every story ends that easily. Sometimes, the threat is bigger, the danger is greater, and the stakes are higher. This is the true story of a family who faced a terrifying home invasion, and the dog who fought against multiple intruders to protect the ones he loved. A quiet night turns into a nightmare. The Johnson family lived in a quiet neighborhood just outside of Houston, Texas. For years, they had enjoyed a peaceful life, weekend barbecues, movie nights, and bedtime stories for their two young kids. They never thought danger would find them, until one fateful night when everything changed. Their German Shepherd, Titan, had always been a good dog. He was loyal, obedient, and gentle with the children. But on that particular evening, Titan was acting strange. He paced near the front door, ears perked up, listening. He let out low, deep growls, his body tense. When Mrs. Johnson went to check, she saw nothing outside. She assumed it was just the wind, just a normal night. But Titan knew better, because just minutes later, the front door burst open. The home invasion begins. 3 men in dark clothing and ski masks stormed into the house, kicking the door off its hinges. They were armed, they were fast, and they were ready to take whatever they wanted. Mr. Johnson barely had time to react before he was shoved to the ground, a masked man towering over him. The children screamed. Mrs. Johnson backed toward the stairs, shielding them with her body. But before the intruders could take another step, Titan attacked. A dog's split-second decision. Titan had been trained. But this wasn't about commands. This was about instinct, about protecting his family at all costs. He launched himself at the first intruder, sinking his teeth into the man's arm. The intruder screamed, dropping his weapon as Titan dragged him down. The second man tried to pull Titan off, but the dog turned, snapping at his leg. The third intruder, realizing this wasn't going to be easy, started backing away toward the door. Titan was outnumbered, but he didn't care. He would fight all of them if he had to. The turning point. The first intruder staggered back, clutching his bleeding arm. The second intruder cursed and stumbled toward the kitchen, trying to grab a knife. But Titan was relentless. He charged again, forcing the men to back off. Mr. Johnson took this moment to act, grabbing a baseball bat and swinging at the man nearest to him. The sound of sirens filled the air. Mrs. Johnson had managed to hit the panic alarm, alerting the neighbors. The intruders realized they were out of time. They turned and ran for the door, desperate to escape. But Titan chased them all the way to the front yard, barking furiously until they disappeared into the night. When the police arrived, they found drops of blood on the floor, signs of struggle, and one terrified but uninjured family. And in the middle of it all, Titan, standing tall, his chest heaving, his eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of danger. Because his job wasn't done, not until his family was truly safe. The aftermath. The Johnson family owed everything to Titan. The police told them that without their dog's bravery and quick reaction, the situation could have ended much worse. Titan didn't just protect them, he fought for them. The burglars were later caught and arrested, thanks to security footage and Titan's attack leaving DNA evidence behind. Mr. Johnson knelt beside his dog, running a hand through his thick fur. "You saved us, boy," he whispered. Titan leaned into him, finally relaxing. Because his job was done, he had defended his pack, and he had won. What makes some dogs more protective than others? Titan's incredible actions weren't just a stroke of luck. Some dogs are naturally more protective, and certain breeds have a higher tendency to guard their homes and families. Here's why. 1. Guardian breeds. Some breeds have been developed over centuries to be protectors and defenders. German Shepherds, intelligent, strong, and fiercely loyal. Rottweilers, courageous and powerful, often used in security. Dobermans, alert and fast, always ready to act. Belgian Malinois, a top choice for military and police work. 2. A strong bond with their owner. Dogs that have a close emotional connection with their humans are more likely to protect them in times of danger. Titan had been raised with love, care, and trust, so when his family was in danger, he didn't hesitate. 3. Early training and socialization. Dogs that receive early exposure to different people, environments, and situations tend to be calmer under pressure. Training and commands like stay, guard, and release can make a big difference in an emergency. Titan had all of these traits, and when it mattered most, he proved why dogs are more than pets. They are protectors. Part 4. The smallest heroes, when size doesn't matter. Titan, the fearless German Shepherd, had saved his entire family from a home invasion. But not all heroes are big. Sometimes, the smallest dogs can be the most unexpected and fearless protectors. This part of the story explores how even the tiniest dogs have saved lives, including the incredible moment when a golden retriever stopped a kidnapping and how a chihuahua took down an armed intruder. Because when danger comes knocking, it's not about size. It's about heart. The golden retriever who stopped a kidnapping. In a quiet neighborhood in Denver, Colorado, 8-year-old Emma Carter was playing in her front yard while her mother watched from the porch. It was an ordinary summer afternoon until a stranger appeared. A man in his mid-40s, dressed in dark clothing, walked down the sidewalk, glancing at Emma. At first, he seemed harmless, but then he moved toward her. In an instant, he grabbed Emma by the arm, yanking her toward the street. She screamed. Her mother jumped up, heart racing. But before she could move, someone else did. Bailey, their 3-year-old golden retriever, charged. A dog's instant reaction. Golden retrievers are not known as guard dogs. They are friendly, playful, and social, but they are also loyal, intelligent, and fearless when protecting their families. And Bailey? She wasn't about to let someone take her little girl. She lunged at the man, biting down on his arm with everything she had. He stumbled backward, releasing Emma as he tried to shake Bailey off. Emma ran toward her mother, sobbing, while Bailey continued attacking. Neighbors heard the commotion. Someone called 911. The kidnapper struggled free and ran, but he didn't get far, because Bailey chased him all the way down the street, barking ferociously until police officers arrived and tackled the man. He was arrested on kidnapping charges, and later, it was revealed that he had been stalking children in the area for weeks. Bailey had saved Emma's life, and all it had taken was a few seconds of instinct and courage. The Chihuahua who took down an armed intruder. Golden retrievers are medium-sized dogs, but what about a dog that weighs only 5 pounds? In San Antonio, Texas, a single mother named Maria Lopez was home alone with her 2-year-old son, Mateo. It was late at night, and the house was quiet, until Maria heard the sound of glass shattering. Someone was breaking in. She grabbed her phone, trying to dial 911. But before she could, a masked man stepped into her bedroom. Maria froze, but her chihuahua, Peanut, did not. David versus Goliath, when a small dog fights back. Peanut, a tiny white chihuahua, had always been protective of Mateo. He had been by the toddler's side since birth, always watching, always guarding. And now, as an armed intruder stood in their home, Peanut didn't hesitate. He launched himself at the man's ankle, sinking his tiny teeth in with all his strength. The intruder stumbled, trying to kick Peanut away, but the little dog held on. Maria grabbed a lamp and smashed it against the intruder's head, knocking him down. In the struggle, the man dropped his gun, and Maria kicked it away. Police arrived just minutes later, arresting the intruder. One officer looked at Peanut, still growling and standing protectively in front of Maria and Mateo. "That's the bravest chihuahua I've ever seen," he said. And that night, Peanut proved that size doesn't determine bravery. Even the smallest dog can save a life. Why do some dogs react while others don't? Not every dog will immediately fight an intruder or attack a threat. So what makes some dogs more protective than others? Here are some key factors that determine a dog's protective instincts. 1. The bond between dog and owner. Dogs that have a strong emotional connection with their owners are more likely to protect them in a crisis. Peanut had been inseparable from Mateo since birth, which made him ready to risk everything to protect him. 2. The breed's natural instincts. Some breeds, like German Shepherds and Rottweilers, are naturally more protective. But even small breeds like Chihuahuas and Dachshunds have strong protective instincts. They are territorial and will fight when their family is threatened. 3. Confidence and fearlessness. Dogs that are well socialized and raised in a loving but structured environment tend to be more confident in emergency situations. A fearful dog might freeze, but a confident dog will act. Bailey and Peanut had different backgrounds, different sizes, and different personalities. But in the moment of crisis, they both knew what needed to be done, and that's what made them heroes. Part 5. The Ultimate Protectors, Dogs Who Save Lives on the Front Lines. So far, we've seen family pets defend their homes, protect children, and even stop kidnappings. But what happens when a dog goes beyond protecting just one person? When they become the last line of defense for an entire unit, a city, or even a country? This is the story of military and police K9s, the ultimate protectors, trained to fight crime, detect danger, and save lives in ways no human can. The military dog that saved a unit from an ambush. In Afghanistan, U.S. Marines Sergeant Mike Reynolds and his unit were conducting a routine patrol in an area known for insurgent activity. With them was Rex, a Belgian Malinois trained in explosive detection and enemy tracking. It was supposed to be a normal sweep, but Rex sensed something no human could. The warning that saved their lives. As the soldiers walked through a narrow valley, Rex suddenly stopped. His ears perked, his nose twitched, and then he growled, low and deep. Sergeant Reynolds knew that sound. It was a warning. Rex wasn't just reacting. He had detected something hidden. Everyone stop, Reynolds ordered. Seconds later, gunfire erupted from the ridge above. The enemy had been waiting to ambush them, but because of Rex's reaction, the Marines had time to take cover before the first bullets rained down. The battle was fierce, but thanks to Rex's split-second warning, the Marines were prepared and able to fight back. They won the firefight. And Rex? He was awarded the K9 Medal of Honor for saving the lives of every soldier in that unit. The police K9 who took down an armed gang. In Los Angeles, Officer Jake Carter and his K9 partner, Shadow, were responding to a silent alarm at a warehouse. The call seemed routine. Most silent alarms were false alerts. But as soon as they arrived, Shadow's body tensed. His nose flared. His ears snapped forward. And then, he growled. Shadow sensed something was wrong. A deadly standoff. Carter listened to his dog's instincts and signaled for backup before entering. Moments later, 6 armed men burst out of the building, attempting to flee. One of them turned and fired. Before Carter could react, Shadow lunged forward, tackling the gunman to the ground, disarming him before he could fire another shot. The other officers moved in, arresting the suspects, who turned out to be part of a major criminal gang involved in armed robberies. The chief of police later said, "If not for Shadow, this could have been a deadly firefight." Shadow received the Medal of Valor, and Officer Carter made sure his partner got a well-deserved steak dinner that night. Dogs who predict danger before it happens. Some dogs don't just react in the moment, they sense danger before it even occurs. This is why therapy dogs, service dogs, and even household pets have been known to detect seizures before they happen, heart attacks before symptoms appear, earthquakes before they strike. Human emotions, including fear, distress, and deception. The therapy dog who saved his owner from an attack. In New York City, a woman named Rachel Stevens was walking home late at night with her Labrador retriever, Milo. Milo had always been calm, affectionate, and well-behaved. But that night, his behavior changed. He kept looking behind them. His tail was stiff. His ears locked onto something Rachel couldn't see. And then, suddenly, he stopped walking and blocked Rachel's path. Rachel turned, just in time to see a man lunging at her. Milo snarled and attacked, biting the attacker's arm and forcing him to retreat. Security cameras later revealed that the man had been following Rachel for 5 blocks. Milo had sensed it long before Rachel had even realized she was in danger. Thanks to him, she escaped without harm. What makes a dog a true protector? Every story we've covered, whether it was Titan the home defender, Bailey the kidnapper stopper, Peanut the tiny warrior, or Rex and Shadow, the military and police heroes, has something in common. It's not just training. It's not just instincts. It's loyalty. A dog's deep connection to their owner or handler is what turns them from just a pet into a protector. Key traits of protective dogs. Fearlessness. A true guardian will stand between you and danger, no matter the risk. Loyalty. They don't hesitate because their love for you is stronger than their fear. Awareness. Dogs sense things humans can't, from subtle movements to emotional shifts. Quick decision-making. A protective dog doesn't panic. They react with purpose. Final thoughts. The dogs who save us. Across the world, dogs have been saving lives, from stopping home invasions to protecting entire military units. They do it not because they have to, but because they choose to. Because for a dog, family isn't just a word. It's everything. Dogs don't just protect homes, they protect hearts. From military K-9s, saving entire units, to family pets risking their lives for their owners. These stories remind us why dogs are man's best friend. If you were inspired by these heroic canines, hit the like button, subscribe for more incredible dog stories, and share this video with someone who loves dogs. Do you have a story about a dog who saved a life? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to feature more true tales of canine courage.